Hello, everyone who's here. Hello, everyone who is going to see this, which we hope will be at least thousands, if not millions of people. This is Tesoro's third anniversary show. I can barely believe I'm saying that. We are an international women's poetry organization with members in Canada, Colombia, Mexico, England, Portugal, Australia, South Africa. Haven't taken over Asia yet, working on it. Antarctica, we're going to have to work on that a little more, but we'll get them too after a bit. We are blessed. I say this about everyone that I've interviewed, about every Tesoro woman on the block. We are blessed with some of the most incredible voices, literally, on the planet. And you're going to get to hear from quite a few of them today. My name is Stacy Dyson. I am the founder and the lead poet for Tesoro. And I love these shows because this means I get to sit here and fangirl over these unbelievable performers for about 2 hours or so. So we're going to go on ahead and get started. Y'all, just what can I say? Hang on to your hearts and open your ears. You might also want to have a fire extinguisher handy because it's about to get hot in here. First up, one of the most incandescent voices we have been graced to have. Would you please welcome Susanna Trevor Perez?
Thank you, Stacy. It's such a pleasure to be here with my Tesoro sisters. I'm going to jump right in with some new poems. This first is titled What Saves? The nightmare begins as we wake. The news now a list of injustices. And those who defend folks whose rights are being crushed are called crooks. Judges arrested and immigration lawyers ordered to leave their own nation within a week. The nightmare subsides in sleep, where my dreams can croon a cappella. The torment wanes when I remember this is not all that there is. There's rhapsody in the cracks, and we can resist by saying yes to life and no to the fear that spreads silence. I celebrate those who act beyond self with vast love and the small details that bring me joy. How the coquilles sing louder after the rain. How towhees and sparrows narrate the day. The iridescent purple of a princess flower. Café con leche in my favorite mug. Breaking bread with beloveds. Feeling my pen glide as I write this. The freedom I claim as I write this. Escape by moonlight. So much of summer was hijacked. I'm trying to get back in the driver's seat, chase out thieves that steal my sleep, flashbacks of kidnap and daggers. I want to leave these intruders by the side of the road, hightail away, watch a night sky on fire, and know a soft-toned dawn will appear. I want to sit in moonlight to remember I am a daughter of goat-footed people, stitched with transcendent energies. That is to say, even as an earthling, I have wings, cut from the ethereal amnion of life, which shouldn't be dragged through the mud. Our feet are made for that, can tolerate slush between our toes. But our wings are something else, beating gently to the rhythm of a heart, feathers lifting our weight just enough to remind us of oxygen's grace as we walk barefoot on a split rock road. Broken antenna. Your voice rises above the street sounds. The full moon sits on your right shoulder, Octavia Butler on your left, trying to divine the future. We reach across a space denser than the continent between us, my grand plan broken like a piñata raining crayfish. This was not what I envisioned. Tears rolling down your cheeks, a hollow in your chest. I have become quicksand, my gravity more rabid than a galaxy's pull. You speak of black holes, a void where light and love can't live. And I wonder what your spaceship is made of. Wonder if you're hovering in the famished air or if your ship has already steered away. Dear Captain, this co-pilot has lost the guiding stars, is floating between constellations, keys jingling in a patchwork pocket, unable to open the gate to agape. And this for my California folks. When the world is a procession of deserts. At 5 o'clock on a Sunday morning, Highway 580 is my personal racetrack. I say adios to the ocean, head towards a rising sun. Names of cities narrate California history like a polyglot poem, capture my attention, like the southern border captured exalted lands of Aztlan. Our modern-day landscape is a collection of contrasts. Palm trees and redwoods, mission-style adobe and soaring glass and steel, mansions and molding encampments, pitched under bridges in the richest state of the land. Sometimes the world is a procession of deserts. Arid wind parched my mouth, not my swirling hair. Justice is scarce as water when enmity slithers like a rattler between rocks. But dying in the desert is not an option. Would unravel the firmament that is this latitude and time. So we learn from our ancestors. Drink dew gathered on juniper leaves. Sprout thorns like a fruiting nopal. Cross Death Valley beneath a blanket of midnight. Emerge intact on the other side. Mot du puer, gratitude. She wears an exit wound near the back of her neck, where a soft lip kiss should lay. Nestled under curves of soft curls, a small round door from which life might have drained. She misread red flags as red carpet, mistook insistence for invitation. He claimed it was an accident. He was drunk, just playing, bullet gliding, just millimeters from her carotid, just milliseconds between heartbeat and last breath. She wears a scar from an entry wound at the front of her neck, touches it like a talisman as she gives thanks for a meal, for the hands that made the meal, for the rooster announcing the day, for the air she breathes. Gratitude dances on her fingertips as she touches the scar, entry wound of a bullet that spared her. She wears a scar, touches it like a talisman, breathes gratitude between each heartbeat. Roses have thorns for a reason. I fear sharks and dogs might smell my blood, mask it with scent of bravado. I feign armadillo skin, exchange a switchblade for an answer, fling rigid feathers like a wing across a nest. At day's end, I dismantle my armor, hang phrases like, I got this, on a hook by my door, store my well-ribbed smile in a jar of lime juice and honey. What's left is the song of morning glories, a slippery oyster and an opalescent shell, the downy hairs on my ears. Who can I trust? With all this delicate as hummingbird eggs, who can I hand my bones to and know they'll be returned unbroken? You approach me with a mouthful of may eyes, fingers that read my body like braille, trace my story, the scars on my eyelid, my knee, the space between hips. You don't salivate like a jackal. Don't kick the switchblade out of my hand. You nest me in a hammock of elbows. Pause your blink. Inhale me deeply. Wait for communion. Hum in the moonlight as rose petals melt like wafers on your tongue. And I will close with a sestina titled Sestina for Resurrection. There are days and places where the gray swirling my hair is either cauldron of respect or reason to discard me like a wrinkled periodical. My divinations deemed wisdom or decaying paper in a digital world. I wander the world and find, depending on where, the modicum of wisdom I've gathered like bees harvest pollen, either honored with cup palms or swatted with a periodical as if a zizzing insect were me. But damn if I let echelons undo me. Despite the dazzling odds against one birth, I am of this world. Careful calligraphy on papyrus, enduring ink in a periodical. My feet scurry jungles, then walk where shadows tumble from skyscrapers. Chosen path either a scatter of glass or sacred soil's wisdom. It takes the time water whittles stone to divine wisdom. It took 1,000 resurrections to find me. The cyclic force of centuries either brings us back to breathing or erases us from the world. Bodies spent and fallow, where lives dissolve into tributes and obits in periodicals. But we find errors in periodicals and trademark memes mistaken for wisdom. It is so hard to find a place where the tenderness of moist breath mingles and you and me are recognized as molecules molding the world. Gray should not be a stranger here either. Neither youth nor age stand alone either. I unfurl my words in periodicals, sing my poems to the world, not with the bravado of ego, but with the wisdom of a skull bleached white by the sun. The me, I hope, will be remembered one day when and where. Either decades, years, or days from now, in a world where periodicals print tombstone tales of me. May I be resurrected within you as wisdom. Thank you.
Open up your mics, throw this lady some roses. My goodness, what a beginning.
What?
Beautiful,
Hey,
lovely,
Susanna.
beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely gorgeous. Fantastic way to start us off. We're going to give the mic now to actually one of our newer members out of Silver City. I almost said Nevada. I'm still stuck on that. Silver City, New Mexico. Who knew? Y'all give it up for Shelley Barnett.
Let's go, Shelly.
Thank you. I'm going to open with a haiku inspired by one of my 9-year-old students. And it goes, kindness is nothing without honesty, she wrote. He wrote, start over. Kindness is nothing without honesty, he wrote. Believe that. as truth. Paint chips and metaphor dice. Approaching sunset at the rim, horizon ablaze like a wildfire, through tree-shaped clouding, beads of bronze melt into weighted ground. Aligning with unwound darkness, glossy, opaque, roams headlong into a notch of sky, perceived as a meager zenith, propped against the point of no return. Is it sky falling flush to earth, or earth swallowing sky when night falls, like one broad brushstroke has swept away this day? Sun always plots its return before each daybreak, hailing new horizons, presenting promises to gather. Jellyfish clouds. Yesterday, for several miles heading south, azure sky became an ocean filled with sea creatures. Albino turtles, bottlenose dolphins, baby belugas stretching out to grow, and a feathery narwhal. In a surf of aquamarine air, jellyfish clouds took shape closer to Earth, floating through wispy waves of breezy atmosphere. Delicate tendrils resist currents of billows that beckon tempests approaching. Jellyfish clouds, unconfined Medusa, briefly taunt Zephyr as travelers pass by, motoring ahead with intent. Some are fortunate to glance out the side windows as heavens become cerulean gulf, and world upside down is imagined for 3.5 minutes of heartbeats. Okay, time to get serious now. We, the people, how are we doing, really? We, collective noun. Two friends, lovers, a family, a community, tribe, a workforce, a state, a country, a continent, a world of we. Collective nouns, we, us, ourselves, they, them, themselves. Replacing names, faces, bodies, places, thrown into this corral, this cage, trying to remove us from the infamous page that begins as we, the people. Tell me now, when will we be, we, the humanity? As my life approaches higher numbers, I am counting my phases in decades rather than moments, and milestones relate to my abilities to conquer daily activities. I notice my handwriting requires more patience and often rewrites so I can read it myself. I still resist typing it in Word. Document sounds so, well, documental. My fingers hold pain that surfaces with each moment and each movement of creating words, art, meals, hairbrushing, nail clipping, but my middle finger flipping still works, even though one fingertip now leans slightly to the right, appropriately so, I think, and the other hand wears inflammation just below the nail bed, as if to say, look at me, this is important. Maybe it's a good spot for a tattoo with the last 4 digits of my social security number. 8647. Okay. Situation room. Are we coping beyond hoping? Seems to be every day of 2025 is a project of just staying alive. No news is good news, so is all news bad news? It's going to take more than kneeling in the pews. Singing louder is essential to being pestilential to the current presidential state of being demential. Praying for deflation of this abominable administration with patriarchal castration and fascist damnation. And burning plantations brings feelings of elation through this heavenly flirtation of democracy's levitation. We sting the walls with vibration and growing temptation to see the cremation of this situation. Rise up in salvation and strong affirmation of the necessary creation of humanity nation. That's all I got. I wrote 4 out of 5 of those this morning. So thank you so much.
That is more than enough. Y'all open up your mics, throw major roses at this lady. I loved every minute of that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I'm already having more fun than is probably legal in most, in almost all the 50 states. Coming up next, I always get such a kick out of hearing this woman. I know all you all do and will too. Give it up one time for the poet Rose Gold.
You have the right to spit fire. Anything you say can and will be used to burn blasphemies to the ground. You have the right to live a life free from generational curses. If you cannot afford these yokes and burdens, feel free to leave them at the foot of the microphone. Good afternoon, fire singers. Just like Nottoway Plantation, just go on and burn. This is for that preacher's wife who didn't like what a poet said. Public service announcement: you are not God, neither is your husband. Well, I was not present to see the screw face you made, accompanied by the self-righteous disgust with which you lodged a complaint about a creative's lyrics. Do you even know her, bro? Of course not. That makes it so much easier for you to serve as judge and jury. You declared yourself the decency police, but your snobbishness should have been arrested for indecent exposure, pulling your own covers back to show you're not as beautiful on the inside as you outwardly think you are. You, in that moment, elevated yourself with this false pedestal so you can look down your nose at her, thus collectively looking down at us, and make them raise their eyes to you. Beloved, please do yourself a favor and don't confuse looking up at you with looking up to you. You have not earned the right to be revered and emulated. What you did do, however, is get so enraptured by your own inflated sense of self-worth that this was a missed opportunity for them to see God through you. Jesus hung out with tax collectors and prostitutes, yet there you sat, thumbing your nose at scribes spitting their truth. You did yourself no favors, shaming these little artists. Last I checked, good people go to hell too. And you can't sing your way out of it. Quite frankly, I've met people in this city who can sing circles around your little halo. Better you be skinned up and skewered while you're on the right side of earth versus you standing before Sky Daddy who's asking you, why didn't you love on my people? Never once did I tell you that you were perfect. You're part of the reason why some people won't come to church. Your condemnation doesn't override his conviction. Stay in your lane and leave the God business to God. Much to your chagrin, I'm sure that God loves her, them, we, us, too. Poem. A Sunday morning phone call to my mother turned into an apology that a 97-year-old HBCU graduate who grew up in the Jim Crow South and served 37 years in the federal government had to see this again. I have to hurry and write this, and this may be the last Black History Month on record. It may have been nixed along with all the remaining observances, right, West Point? Oh, and the Air Force, which tried canceling teachings on the Tuskegee Airmen. How is any of this a threat to national security? What I know is that you're a threat to my mom's social security. Cue throwing tomatoes because this movie sucks. A disgrace on the world stage. Imagine telling a man whose country is ravaged by war that they started it and that they never said thank you to a felon in chief that never saw conflict. I look back laughingly on the days when they thought the biggest scandal was Obama's tan suit, or a Black Santa, or a Black mermaid, or a Black Jake from State Farm. Can't understand the irrational, unhinged outrage over imaginary things from those who are the masters at promoting fiction. I wonder what July 4th will look like this year. How can anyone afford to buy fireworks when the cost of eggs are outrageous? I imagine no one has the time nor the patience for sparkle banter. With all the government layoffs, America is flatlining from the gang of quad viruses and infectious diseases making a comeback, and anti-vaxxers at the door instigating the dust up. Come outside, we ain't gonna jump you, we just wanna talk. Never fear, there's still Women's History Month. Or is it? The Mason-Dixon line here is more treacherous than a demilitarized zone. It begins at patriarchy and ends at a woman's body. Uh-oh, she just had an orgasm. If she skips a period, sound the alarm if she tries to skip town to exercise her right to choose. Poem. Y'all all right? Y'all good? Y'all still with me? Okay. I'm in my soft era right now, so I'm gonna be a little bit soft. This piece is called Little Hamlet. Let me be a home for your heart. A little hamlet as refuge from this ball of confusion. I can refill your cup to overflowing where your emotional account was overdrawn. Wear me like a second skin so you're consistently wrapped in love. I'll be the eyes and ears for your principalities that try and come for your soul. Fortify your fortress so it won't collapse by the adversary's gusts like a house of cards. My lion will not be mocked by wayward hyenas searching for scraps. Silly little girls posing as women with cracked faces, giggling and blinking in deception, trying to weaken your constitution, expecting you to easily fall for surface levels of attraction. Live, love, laugh in this safe space. Vulnerability is welcomed and encouraged, not exploited here. I will feed you to fulfillment in many ways, so you won't be depleted nor found wanting or waiting in rejection. I'll be the lighthouse to guide you to shore, so you won't have to look far to find me, and the waves to gently rock you to sleep. I will be your constant, not simply bend to and fro, dictated by whichever way the wind blows, but be the strong soil in which our flag is planted. Little Hamlet, poem. Oh. This is called Thunder Love. Not Thunder Lung, like our sister Ray Jane. This is Thunder Love. Okay. Just want to make sure your ears are working. Rumbling thunder threatens from a distance. The forecast calls for remaining indoors and calling forth nature's orchestra to conduct love's interlude. Once upon a time, the rain made me sad. It meant the ruinization of plans. Never did I realize it was a cleansing. Each drop lending background vocals, urging two to become one under a foreboding sky. Others forming a drum line along the window pane as prompted by the wind, whistling and wailing along to our groove. Gentle and strong in body and spirit, he rides out the storm, moving in awe of its precarious beauty, while sheltering me in his arms, sustained by his comfort food. Lightning captures the raciness of our photo shoot, while its partner, thunder, claps with ear-splitting approval. When I closed my eyes, I felt his love raining down into my essence. After the crescendo, the ominous clouds gave way to the friendly skies and no longer cry because they've witnessed their flower child truly bloom for the first time in her life. Poem. Geez, I wrote a lot of crap, didn't I? Golly. This is, those of you who heard me spit before, you know, this is a lot of new spit. Hey, Brooklyn in the house. So those of us who are Gen Xers, we know that the elders of Generation X, those born in 1965, are turning 60 this year. To include my sister, her birthday was in January. So I wrote this piece dedicated to just a little nostalgia over Generation X. It's called 1965 to 1980. When I was much younger, I never understood why old folks waxed so much nostalgia about yesterday. After crossing the golden threshold, it occurred to me that those of us blessed enough to still be here and sport a few gray hairs understand that those memories are becoming more and more distant. The gap between then and now widens, and while I can remember what I got for Christmas when I was 10, I can't recall why I walked into this room. Turns out my memory lasts as long as a stick of fruit stripe gum. I wonder if our generational elders, who are turning 60 this year, imagine the future would be like this. By now, we were supposed to be flying through space like the Jetsons. Instead, they're billionaires shooting fallible phallic symbols into the atmosphere, blowing out like candles. Happy birthday. Coming off the heels of civil rights in Vietnam, this generation was introduced to the world with revolution already in their lungs. The whole world was watching. The rest of us latchkey kids would just let ourselves in and sit next to them in front of the TV so they can complain that we smelled like outside and tell us to get up and change clothes, but not before they made us stop and change the channel. It wasn't some, we outside, because we were always literally outside, out of sight all day without any forms of communication within arm's reach. It's a wonder we're all still alive. If Andy Warhol, Grace Jones, and Cyndi Lauper were asking, it's 10 p.m., do you know where your children are? Chances are you didn't know either. I still keep a collection of quarters in case a Pac-Man arcade game materialized, clasps hands in pretty please, balancing my game position in Chicago brand roller skates, cherry red wheels and stopper, red and white fuzzy ball with a bell in the center. Sounds of my inner child summoning the late 80s teenager. I wish the most pressing issues involved performing emergency surgery on an unruly cassette tape with a number 2 pencil. Press play for proof of life, then volume up to annoy everyone on the subway. If only. The idea of conflict was dueling boomboxes that provided the backdrop for limber warriors on a cardboard battlefield. The 1990s ushered in adulthood for many of us. If you weren't in a packed club with that engine number 9 verse hit, did you ever really live? From staying up all night to now being a woman of a certain age with a self-imposed curfew because if it happens after 6 p.m., I ain't going. Nothing to see here, just in the gym breaking generational curses as a nod to my youth, and so I can still get carded. To honor my fellow Gen Xers who never made it to 50, and to forget how much longer it takes to scroll down to find my birth year. Society has us time-stamped, but we will not be put out to pasture by the boomers before us, the millennials meandering behind us, nor the Gen Zs inaccurately snoozing on our greatness. So remove the toe tag and return it to the cadaver who decided to stop pursuing their best life. I used to consider us the fuck around and find out generation until I remembered that we don't give a fuck enough to want to find out. Shrugs and indifference. Poem. Okay. One last piece. This is actually out of my book. I can't even remember the name of my book. See what age does to you? Poetry is love language, but first, let me tell you something. That's the name of my book. Okay, all right. This poem was brought to you by the letter P. Pardon this interruption. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America and all the ships at sea. Newsflash, our planet is in peril. Perplexed, ponder living in a perpetual state of panic previewed as prey by persons who painstakingly pursued you as their favorite pastime. To them, it's a constant state of play, a simply puerile state of mind. Plainly put, their persistence pushes them to be persuaded by their perverted sense of pride. Thus, your complexion, a symbol of perfection, is in direct violation of Articles W, H, I, T, and E. While pelted by the media's projectile vomiting, promoting the practice of character assassination, pride pleads for them to pull you apart and peer into your soul that attempted to escape from your fetid corpse that they left hemorrhaging in the streets. Punished disproportionately in the classroom, trauma in the pre-K. Palpitations riddle the hearts of chocolate cherubs portrayed as pint-sized felons in waiting, pursuant to the school to prison pipeline. So you see, all is going according to plan. Yesterday was the day to start practicing your Hugh P. Black Panther pistol grip. Today is not the day to lose your religion, but to start planning insurrection and revolt and to purge patriarchy like the pussies you were plucked from at birth. The time has passed for the peacemaker. We no longer seek reconciliation from those who purloined our persons and property. Where is your passion? Did you usually roll up for the pledge? Well, make a promise to your own self that you will not go quietly into the night, paralyzed into inaction by fear. Instead, quit your pace. Pass me the mobile so we can record the furious styles of a millennium revolution, pulsating at a fevered pitch. Then pause. For effect. I am the poet Rose Gold. Rage responsibly. Thank you.
Y'all rage and applause. Throw this woman some roses. Good Lord.
Yes. Yes. Rage responsibly.
Oh, my word. I think if everybody just take a deep breath. Oh, my goodness. Fantastic. Coming up next, I am so happy we got this woman here because quite honestly, as far as I can tell, she only ever goes home to visit her clothes. And the fact that we could pin her down for a couple of hours is miraculous and heartwarming to me. Please give it up for Diosa X.
Morning. Oh, no, it's afternoon. It's afternoon. Thanks, Stacy, for gathering us all. This is an incredible group, and this morning's gathering, amazing. Thank you. All right, well, I'm gonna hit you up with poems from my two latest collections. Conversaciones con los difuntos, Conversations with the Dead. 'Tis not a midnight dreary. The screeching shrills did truly shatter the hidden veil of human matter on what appeared to be an ordinary night. But this was not a midnight dreary, for I was fast asleep and weary when the felines did cause such terrible fright. Heavily my eyelids did shudder, not a single word could I utter. Something very abnormal would prevent my sight. Hesitantly, my eyes would open. Though I tried, no word could be spoken on such an ordinary, horrifying night. My body could not move. My breath began to lose, despite my willingness to fight. My fingers touched my palms. My mouth resounded psalms as I began to pray with might. My grandmother's words I remembered, whilst my living hours felt outnumbered. I reject all evil, is what I did recite. Slowly my body regained movement. My heavy breath felt great improvement on such an ordinary, horrific night. Surely my senses I recovered, gasping for air next to my lover, while he slept peacefully with delight. No sooner did he begin to choke, I shook and shook him till he woke. He sat up, looked at me, then cursed with all his might. He laid back down, for he was asleep. I looked at him hard in disbelief. He looked at me in the eye and cursed. Oh, what a sight. There laid my lover sleeping soundly, while I stayed up praying profoundly, trying to forget such a mortifying night. To this day, that night still does haunt me. Sometimes I think that death still wants me, especially on this, an ordinary night. Thank you. Scary stories. And so obviously Conversations with the Dead has all to do with that. Descent. I tried to write about death, but it was so pleasant. I had to pause in order to bring me back to earth. And my first trilingual poem, L'histoire d'une saison. Je m'appelle Adriana. Il s'appelle... Non. Son nom ne touchera plus jamais mes lèvres. J'ai dit, plus jamais. En autre, je suis morte. Et le mort ne parle pas. La historia de un asesino. Yo me llamo Adriana. Él se llama... No. Su nombre jamás volverá a tocar mis labios. He dicho, jamás. Además, yo estoy muerta y los muertos no hablan. The story of an assassin. My name is Adriana. His name? No. His name will never again touch my lips. So it is, so it shall be, never again. Besides, I am dead, and the dead can't speak a word. Thank you, thank you. So these two collections came out back to back, October and November. Appropriately that season, right? When the Leaves Come Tumbling Down is my latest collection. And this is titled Ashes. Because he said he loved me, we all fell down. Because he did love me, we all fell down. Because he really didn't know how to love me. And it killed him, ashes. And it killed me, ashes. And it killed what little we had. Because he sat there, we all fell down, paralyzed by his fear. We all fell down, immovable. All the bridges in ashes came tumbling down in ashes because he loved me, or so we thought. Next poem, Bicho Rastrero. Unlike the metamorphosis, I did not wake up a roach, but I did go to bed a creepy crawler. Legs spread across the bed, left and right. With each molt, this nymph continuously acquired more limbs. Every which way these legs itching as they, each and every one, had bug bites. Bug bites, of course. Subjected to be injected by insignificant insects. Centipede, a venomous nocturnal arthropod with pairs of appendages, bilaterally symmetrical, perfectly balanced. A true Libra? Centipede. The morphemes morph along with the nymph. Centi, a centennial baby with 100 lovers, centimeters away from the nest. Pede, feet on ground. Run, Boris, run. Centipede, having walked away from 100 and walked all over 100 more. Though she walks through the valley of the shadow of death, this centipede fears no evil. Yet this worn out 100 pies ya se cansó de andar entre tanto bicho rastrero. Thanks. Ay, bugs, how they bug. Note to teachers here, red pen, sort of, kind of. This man was not a poem, just a paragraph in my life. As I begin to do a close read, I delve between the lines. He is in no way a chapter. He is definitely not a book. Although I must admit, he does make a good hook. There were many exclamations, a few M dashes here and there, but the run-ons were exhausting, perpetuated by his fear. My foreshadowing was always right, as I sensed the end was near. I always took great annotations of our interactions day to day, reading into his reactions and every single word he'd say. The list of grammar errors was huge. My red pen bled on paper, dangling modifiers to confuse in an attempt to try and taper. Grammar lessons, he failed. Reading comprehension did not exist. His writing style is stale. Lack of public speaking skills still persists. I've grown tired of teaching the reluctant. This illiteracy ignites my ire. I close the book and clear my desk. My red pen and I do hereby retire. All right. And this one is an ode to those that have gone missing. Strangled songs. The rooster's crow was muffled. The sound of his song somewhat strangled, very much like her name. Another missing woman, another daughter gone, another sister faded away with the sunset. The rooster's unusual crow reminds me of her story. It is said that on the eve of an ordinary day, she left her home and never returned. There was something strange about the rooster's song, very much like her disappearance. Inconceivable to me that a mother would leave behind her children, vanishing forever. Thank you. The weight of the scales. Here we go. We've been lovers for nearly 7 years. This coming Libra season will mark our 7th anniversary. This October announces the beginning of my 47th year around the sun. They say that cells regenerate every 7 years. Apparently, that is just a saying, but it makes me wonder, how many of his cells have embedded themselves in mine? How much of his sperm has been absorbed and disintegrated within this womb of mine? How much of his sweat, saliva, and tears are floating through my DNA? They say that this is a myth, but even the ancients have said, we are what we eat. If we have consumed each other to exhaustion, how could I not carry a piece of him and he a piece of me? They say the earth was created in 7 days. In the Bible, 7 is the holy number of completion, perfection, and divine fulfillment. This makes me ponder. Have we reached the milestone of a perfect affair? Have we perfected the ambiguity of that which is clandestine? Or has our time together reached its inevitable conclusion? Maybe our divine mission has finally been fulfilled. Angel number 7 is associated with balance, harmony, mysticism, and inner knowing. Maybe we have mastered this balancing act of living in a world of responsibilities and loving in a world away from it all. Perchance we've discovered the secret to harmonizing all of society's taboos while astral traveling between the sheets. There's only one thing I really know in life, and that is that when our bodies join forces, we are inexplicably transported to a galaxy far away from this 3D world you and I call home. In numerology, 7 describes intellectuals, deep thinkers, philosophers, and scholars. Therefore, it makes perfect sense that I have exerted all of this time and energy analyzing and dissecting this thing we call ours in an attempt to comprehend whether this approaching moment is a time of joyous celebration or sorrowful mourning, whether the next pressing of our lips is ringing in the new year, or if it is indeed the predetermined kiss of death.
Mm.
And I'll wrap it up with just a few more to make you laugh. Okay, voicemail recording. If you are calling for Adriana Citlali, she is currently unavailable. If you are calling for Tara Nahal, she is lost within a yoga retreat. If you are calling for Diosa X, she is busy writing a book. All that is left is Saint Michaela, if that is who you want to greet. But if you have nothing good to say, don't you dare a message leave. You may not want to hear her wrath, so I beg of you, take heed. For she is slaying ugly ogres, protecting her girls from these selfish, lying Piscean men. Just hang up now, if you please. And boy, I'll end with this last one here. There is an empty space within this womb, a space that screams of dreams long abandoned, a space that feels the wheels of time, a space that cries each month from a wound that hasn't quite ever healed. This womb was supposed to be a home to one lover and many children, but its veil was broken way before its time. This womb was supposed to be home to one lover and many children, but predators had other plans. The womb was supposed to be home to one lover and many children, but instead, it only housed one child and became a hostel to one too many passerby. Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Open up your mics, throw your roses. Good Lord.
Ooh, Diosa!
Ooh. Hell yeah.
That was all and everything it will ever need to be. Loved that. Okay, we're going to keep moving here. Coming on along, we hardly ever get to hear from this lady, so I'm really glad she's here. Please, excuse me, please give it up for Laura Lilia.
Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm only going to read one piece. It's the only essay that I have in my debut book, Becoming Forever Changing Leaves. So if you hear me with pauses, they're intentional. High tolerance. I was in search of a group of people who could possibly understand where I was coming from. I found a local community with a support group named Survivors of Suicide. I made my way eager to meet the others, only to find out it was a group of people who had lost a loved one due to suicide. They were the survivors, the other side of the coin of my turmoil. I decided to stay and not say anything about myself. I focused on listening to each of their stories and imagined if I was successful at my attempt, would my loved ones be the ones here sitting here all in a circle, speaking about how time has passed without me? They spoke about how it's been a couple months, 4 years, 10 years ago since they lost their loved ones. When it came to my turn, I shared an immediate thought about a friend of mine who had passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. To this day, I really don't know what his last few moments of life were like. He was found on the grounds of an overpass near local bars. We would spend endless nights getting wasted and living like there was no tomorrow. He fell head first from the overpass. His death was the only thing I could think of during those meetings, and I could relate to everyone else. A sudden, unpredicted loss that felt as if a hole was ripped right through me, and I was left with no answers to console. I sat there in the room, listening to everyone and drifting in and out of my memory of that day. I remember everything that happened that day in spring. I woke up to a text message from a mutual friend notifying me something tragic happened to our friend and his condition is not looking so good. I worked the early shift, so I was up at 4 a.m. making my way into work by taking the bus that took me to downtown, where I would walk 5 blocks to work. As soon as I logged into my computer, I looked up the local news to see a report they had on him. I stayed at work. I kept busy and avoided talking about it. Closer to the end of my shift, I made plans to catch the red line that's 2 blocks away from my building. That'll take me directly to the hospital my friend was at. I was in shock and felt numb as I boarded the train, realizing what I was about to do. I was heading to see something I didn't understand. I met my friends that were already there and heard about the devastating news that even if my friend did make it, his life will never be the same. Everything felt off. Nothing made sense. How did he fall from an overpass? Why was he even outside of the car? The only person that was with him when it happened had nothing much to give. To be honest, I didn't even bother to talk to him to figure out what his story was. Everything about him seemed off. I instead focused on being there to comfort my friends, his family, and silently to myself, figure out how to accept what was happening. Seeing all his family there was a first. I only saw his dad a couple times before this, and it wasn't even an encounter. It was more just in passing. This one time, his dad was in a vehicle while I was waving at him from the front door of a restaurant once. And now his dad is just a few steps away from me. And it looks like everything inside of him is ripping apart. After being there for a while, I decided I had to go home. But I didn't want to be home alone. During my lunch break earlier at work, I mentioned what was going on to my boyfriend. He didn't give much sympathy about the situation, only extended an invite for me to come over and hang out afterwards. So I reached out to an old friend I hadn't spoken to in a while and knew he would understand this feeling. He picked me up from the hospital and we hung out in his car for a while. I broke down in tears about it all, and he held a safe space for me for that brief moment. Before he took me to my apartment, we stopped by to pick up some wine. I needed something to take the edge off, and it was the weekend, so I didn't care much about what tomorrow would bring. Once I settled into home, I changed clothes and made my way over to my boyfriend's place, as I still didn't feel comfortable being alone. It was a full house with him. His roommates and their girlfriends, they all had the TV on loud, sitting around eating Chipotle, discussing the latest news gossip of celebrities. My friend is going to die, yet I am here surrounded by superficial conversations. I excused myself after my boyfriend showed me how he cut his lip with aluminum foil his burrito was wrapped in, and I went to his room and I started to cry. I called my best friend and I mentioned everything that was going on, and she assisted for me to leave, go home, and take it easy, but I couldn't move. I didn't want to be alone. After a while, my boyfriend came in and joined me. He sees that I've been crying and listens to me explain more about my friend's condition. He consoles me by saying, "Hey, I've lost many childhood friends already. It sucks. Trust me, I know." A week went by, and the follow-up appointments with my doctors. I had my own checkups to go to. My hemoglobin was low. I'm anemic again. I was scheduled for 3 rounds of iron infusions because my veins are so small. My doctors ordered me to get a PICC line inserted. I'm devastated. I hate having to go through this again. I think about how I hated having a PICC line put in and all the discomforts that comes with it. Then I remind myself about my friends who's dying. At least I feel pain. My friend is still alive, but unconscious, and he's going to die soon. While here I am pissed off about something I've gone through over and over again. Why can't I just function normally? Then my friend comes back into my mind. How pathetic am I? At least I feel something. My friend doesn't feel anything. He's about to die soon. I cry harder. A day later, my friend gets disconnected from life support, and soon after that, he passes away. At this point, I had stopped responding to my boyfriend. I felt so angry, feeling sorry for myself for having to deal with iron infusions while my friend passed away so tragically. I only got up to go to work, quietly clocking in, taking my breaks when I feel a rise of emotions build up, enough to go find a place to myself to break down and cry. Splash cold water on my face, clean myself up, refocus my thoughts enough to continue to work. I kept to myself at work and repeated the cycle. Quietly clocking in, quietly clocking out of work, and going straight home to only cry some more until I fell asleep. I only attended my friend's awake, and even there, I didn't stay long. I visited with friends, I walked up to see my friend lay there in his casket looking so unrecognizable. I drove myself home. I put my playlist on shuffle, hoping any song that comes on could drown the self-pity I feel consuming me, even after seeing my friend in his casket, soon to be underground. Soul to Squeeze by Red Hot Chili Peppers came on. I let it play once, then I played it again with the volume all the way up. I played it on repeat all the way home while I cried and kept driving. Once home, my boyfriend insisted to come over. He had been keeping in touch with my friends and they told him how hard I was being towards myself. He said he had something for me. I thought, wow, that's a first. I raised my eyes with anticipation of what it might be. He held out his hand in a fist, then unfolded his hand. It was one Vicodin tablet. Thank you.
Wow. Unmute, folks. Unmute and give thanks for that level of honesty and courage. My word.
That's what I was gonna say. The courage to write that and share it. Thank you, Laura.
My capybara friend, I just want to give you a big old hug.
My word. Everybody take a deep breath. Thank you, Laura. We're going to go on and move on. I am really, really pleased to announce that this next poet up is going to be the new voice, the new host, at least until the end of our season, for our mixed open mic pen and sword. Y'all, please give it up one time for Angel Kim.
Hey y'all. Whew, I had to take a deep breath after that. My heart goes out to you. Much love to you. And yeah, just thank you for feeling safe enough to share that with us, love. Whew, all right. I'm gonna start with this piece because tomorrow is my son's birthday, my only one. And so I wrote him a poem. I didn't become a mother just in title or being in a hospital. I became one moment your cry cut through my silence, declaring, here I am. With no manual to guide me, just my faith and a baby boy whose eyes dared me to get up and get it right. You made me a mother before I ever knew how to mother myself. taught me love don't run, even when knees buckle and sleep feels like only a rumor heard about in another life. They said it takes a village to raise a child. I wouldn't know. I had eviction notices and overdraft fees instead, but you never went hungry. I did have prayers, half whispered between shifts, laundry piled taller than hope, and you asking for cereal with kind of smile that made survival taste sweet. I didn't have a man to teach you how to be one, so I learned the game myself. I held the ball, set the rules, played offense and defense, even when world tried to foul you just for being Black and breathing. I praised and raised, yeah, excuse me. I raised you in a world wanting to fear you before it ever knew your name. So I gave you more than hugs. I filled your shoes with footsteps and I prayed you never had to follow. Whispered survival into your posture, just in case they read your stance before your story. Wanted them to see your manners before they saw your melanin. Asked you to call when you arrived so my prayers could exhale. And when your voice dropped, I cried. Not because you were growing, but because I knew world would would stop seeing my baby as a baby and start seeing you as a threat. But still, you laughed, you loved, you danced in the kitchen like music was made for your joy. And in that moment, I knew I did something right. You made me a mother, not in name, but in war, in grit, in glory, in miracles of making a man with bare hands and God's breath. So if ever asked what motherhood is like, I'll say it's like carrying both hope and groceries with the same arms. It's crying behind locked doors, then showing up with a smile because you needed joy more than I needed rest. It's rewriting legacy with no blueprint, just a prayer and a promise you'll never feel abandoned like I did. I made a home out of everything I was never given. And you made me better than I ever dreamed I could be. You made me a mother, and that, my son, is the holiest thing I could ever been, that I have ever been, and I could ever be. And y'all gotta bear with me. My allergies are cutting up. I swear I'm not crying. Okay. I'm gonna go here. This is a new piece. And yeah, okay. I'm just gonna get into it. It's called Create in Me. I peeled off yesterday's scabs like clinging to wounds that didn't heal quite right. I prayed them away but never released them. My hands dirty from digging up graves God told me to forget about. Baptizing myself in bitterness, they then had nerve to ask why my blessings wouldn't bloom. I kept rehearsing pain like scripture, memorizing verses of my own destruction, quoting betrayal in red letters as if God authored my heartbreak. But it wasn't him, it was me, clenching and clutching to dead things, called it loyalty, then let trauma take communion on altars I should have burned. I anointed my flaws with excuses, called them character, named my anger protection, but it was just fear dressed in armor I outgrew. Even my prayers were half truths and hollow hallelujahs, laced with ego for survival, hoping God couldn't smell smoke like from lies I was still living in. I made altars out of anger, prayed with fire under my tongue and tension in my bones, daring God to douse the flame. I mistook silence for strength and built walls so thick mercy couldn't even find cracks to slip in. I laughed at reflection, but sound never reached my eyes. I wasn't living, just performing survival on a loop I couldn't exit off of until rock bottom started looking like a home. I wrapped myself in old identity stitched from shame, left thinking if I wore it long enough, I'd finally fit like truth. I fed my demons table scraps of forgiveness, just enough to keep them near, not enough to let them die. Truth is, I got used to bleeding, called it holy as if suffering was the same as being sanctified. So I split open wide enough for God to get in, whispered, create in me a clean heart, renew in me the right spirit, like it's the last thing holding my lungs together. Not a better, not a better version of who I've been, but someone I've never dared to be. Scrape residue of who hurt me off the corners of my soul. I'm tired of tasting bitterness in every breath I offer. Take this scarred spirit of mine and sculpt it into something you can use, Lord. I've outlived my former self, buried her beneath every almost I've survived. This is resurrection in real time. This is me standing in ruins and still reaching. I come emptied, ready. This is what becoming looks like. When you stop hiding behind pain, when you start walking in your purpose. My truth, this is what it is. My heart is being wiped clean. My spirit is being set right. And I'm finally healing to be whole enough to carry what God has always promised me. Ooh, okay. This one here I did for 30 for 30. It was actually from a conversation with someone. And so I ended up creating a prompt from it. And the prompt was, I'm a victim to what you've exposed me to. And so I wrote this piece, and it's called You Built the Fire. I'm a victim of what you exposed me to. I woke up speaking in frequencies not on my own, hearing sirens and lullabies, tasting static in every yes I said too soon. Your version of love came with lead coating, looked pretty and poisonous all at the same time. It was the kind clinging to bones long after skin forgot the bruises. Now my breath drags like anchors, not heavy, just conditioned. I inhaled you too long, so now my oxygen feels dishonest. I've mistaken danger for devotion so many times, my body twitches at alarm's absence. You didn't just damage me, you rewired my system. There are rooms inside me you wallpapered with your moods, loud colors I never picked, peeling from corners I avoid sleep in. This isn't healing. It's a demolition done blindly, tearing down walls just to see what parts of me you still hide in. I started mispronouncing my own piece just to make room for your noise. You saw it as a compromise while I was disappearing in plain sight. Every boundary I tried to every boundary I tried to draw, you redrew them in pencil, smudging it with sweet talk, then blamed me for not remembering where the lines were. You made me a weapon and made my vulnerability vulnerability one too, then called it love, held your apologies like trophies while I collected bruises you couldn't see. You said I was too emotional, but you never met the version of me that swallowed screams just to keep you calm. I became your peace offering and still got burned at the altar. I'm done. I'm done naming my wounds after you. I'm done shrinking so you could feel inferior. I'm done tracing scars just to prove I survived. I, you don't get to live in my story anymore as anything less than wreckage and carnage you caused. You built this fire, then flinched at the smoke. Though I'm touched, I walked out of this flame, and that's what hurts you the most. So I know many of us have gone through some things, and I normally don't do trigger warnings, but I'll give one for this piece. It's called Stolen Summers, and there's another piece I did for the 30 for 30 prompt given by Black Chakra, who is a phenomenal spoken word slam champion poet. Yeah, all of that. And this is what I ended up doing with that prompt, Stolen Summers. People ask why I love horror films. Sometimes it's hard to explain why I love monsters so much. But when you learn to survive villains, memorizing their footsteps, you stop screaming when your nightmares look like your childhood. You make peace with ones who sit across the table to eat with you and ones who tuck you in at night. At 8, my summer was stolen. I stopped watching for shadows on my TV screens and started checking down hallways and behind closed doors. Monsters didn't wait for midnight. They came in daylight with familiar hands, with smells of cheap cologne. I wasn't hunted in the woods or chased by ghosts. I was cornered in bedrooms where cartoons still played in the background. No one screamed. Not me, not the walls, not the TV, not even the bed springs. Silence became my co-star, watching me pretend nothing was happening. I learned how to cry without sound, watched how I folded into myself until I forgot I was even there. I carried silence like a second spine. It held me up but never let me rest. I found myself laughing at the wrong times, trusting no one, wearing a smile, and my body became a locked room where no one dared to knock. And I never gave out any keys. I replaced that timid child with an angrier one because anger didn't freeze. Anger moved. Anger fought back. Anger kept people away. Anger came easier than tears. I let it sharpen my tongue, clench my fists, build walls high enough to keep even God out. I stopped being soft. Soft got me hurt. Soft made me weak. So I wore rage like armor. Dared the world to touch me just so I could prove I survived it. They called me a trouble. Said I had a smart mouth, too much attitude, too loud for such a pretty little girl, not realizing how ugly and dirty I felt on the inside. No one bothered asking what made me burn, only why I wouldn't cool down. They didn't know I was just trying to outshout memories, refusing to stay buried. Love became my battleground. I never trained for it. Tensing beneath soft touches, questioning every compliment, reading between lines, not even there, just to prepare for the hurt I expected. Told myself I was too broken, too fat, too ugly, too angry to be wanted, so I loved in pieces, only giving the shiny parts of me because that's all people wanted to see. So I slipped out before anyone noticed bruises I was built from, before they could see the decaying surface in my eyes. I may never get those summers back, may never unlearn fear I had or rewrite what happened to me at 8 years old, but I've learned to live anyway, to laugh with my whole chest, to rest without watching the door, to name what tried to silence me. This isn't closure, it's confrontation. Because I no longer am afraid to speak about it. Some days I feel like I'm still that little girl, still hear his footsteps when nothing's moving, still tense at laughter that comes too close. I've just learned how to breathe through it, how to stand in rooms he never built, how to love the girl he tried to erase. She's still here. She's still fighting to feel real. I'll give you this last piece because I don't want to take up too much of y'all's time. Let's see. Huh. This is for all the women here, my Tesoro sisters. If love was a weapon, okay. If love was a weapon, she'd be a woman. Lips loaded with lullabies and war cries, hips swaying with balance of heaven and hell, voice slick with sermons and side eyes, a triggered tongue that could birth kingdoms and burn bridges with every whisper. She ain't made of steel, she is steel, forged in fire and fried fish Fridays, seasoned with scriptures and sass. Her silence is more dangerous than any man-made missile. She don't need no safety on. She is the safety. The come home after chaos. The don't make me come down there. The prayer whispered between gunshots and paychecks. She's carried revolutions in her ribcage. Grandma's girt tucked behind molars, mama's mourning stitched into her Sunday's best, and a whole bloodline of women who made miracles out of nothingness and make dudes. She's reason still standing ain't just a phrase, it's a flex, a testimony. Call her loaded, not just with pain, but with praise, with poems passed down like pocket knives and prayers wrapped in lace. Every bruise is a blueprint, every scar is a sacred scripture etched in her skin and in her memory. You see, she don't need reloading, she rebirths. Shoots truth from hip, healing from hollow. God didn't just make her, He molded her from thunder, lined her spine with psalms, crowned her with "Don't try me." He did His thing when He made her. He didn't hold back not a single drop of divinity. She ain't just love, she is the battlefield, the blessing, because you don't survive centuries of war and still love this loud unless you're the weapon and the reason the war ever ended. So next time you see her, don't flinch. Stand firm in her presence and understand you are looking at a woman. And she's more than just that. You're witnessing what happens when God makes love lethal and calls her a queen. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Open up those mics.
Hey, yes.
That was the piece.
Let's go, Angel.
Yes.
AK with the rounds.
Okay. So I am thrilled to be able to hand the mic over to one of the original fire singers. This lady has been here from just about Jump Street for us. And I was sitting here trying to remember when in the world I met her. Feel like I've known her forever, but looking back, it was a very, very hot, very, very poetic night in El Paso, Texas. I'm glad she has hung out and is hanging in. Y'all, please give it up for Marissa Prada.
Yes, Marissa. Let's go.
What's up, Brooklyn? All right. I'm doing this whole thing in reverse today. So I'm not gonna loop it for you, but I will end um, joyfully. And I'm sending you all so much love, and I'm humbled and honored to be a part of this incredible organization. Thank you, Stacy. This is a new piece, was just picked up for publication in the UK. It is titled "It's the Fashion." And it is my response to our current president's face during the bishop's sermon when he was elected. All right. It's all the fashion to smirk in church before God, before the God you demanded be in school and brought up at the grave sites of children killed at school, or at the fallout of racist ass police officers never told killing is wrong. It's all the fashion to roll your eyes when a messenger of God says people are scared, families are afraid, Americans are sick and dying and outraged, sir. But you're so in fashion for a shade of crimson fuchsia fucking forgetfulness into the minds of the living, still worried about their thread count. Made in America and come in for the shit show. Runway, runaway, run far away, naked, no clothes for you unless it's clockwork orange and your hands are dirty or black or brown or poor. Don't let them use your bathroom. Can't afford to replace the towels. Your pants are still safe enough for finger grease. Circus monkeys rape women, then erase the score. Just win the house devoid of color or morals. Where rally bullets stomp their feet at the amateur wind shear. There will never be a record as long as you're popular. Because people still enjoy drinking the Kool-Aid, laying out in the sunshine as their bodies decay, because they still get to be on the right side. And another woman just died with a fetus in her belly. And another child just died from a gunshot at school. And a woman's apartment was just the wrong address. And another police officer's knee found arthritis. And another black boy died playing at a park. And another transgender kid died by suicide. Since it's all the fashion to be gone before your time these days. Still, TikTok is more important than all, as the ants go marching mindlessly on and on, carrying the scarlet letter of their leader on their forehead, towards an oblivion we are all chained to for now. As long as God is put in the middle, but never any full-fledged solutions. As long as your quenching Kool-Aid still reigns supreme at the drive-through line. As long as it's not your kid, not your friend, not your home, not your problem, not you. So stay stoic and twitch the sides of your mouth, purse your lips, roll your eyes, and stem the tide of hope for the rest of us who don't care about what's in fashion. But shut the fuck up in church and show some goddamn respect. All right, let's get into this. I have not read this poem since Charlotte, so I'm gonna do more of these. It's titled My Abundance of Remorse. I said I was sorry. I said he was probably just drunk. I said I was sorry. I said he probably didn't mean anything by it. I said I was sorry. There had to be some kind of mistake. I said I was sorry. He'd never done anything like that before. I said I was sorry. I said I was sure it would never happen again. I said I was sorry. I said it was probably an accident. I said I was sorry because I was not prepared. I said I was sorry. because I didn't see it coming. I said I was sorry because I froze when he touched me. I said I was sorry because I didn't want you to be angry with me. I said I was sorry because I didn't want you to leave me. I said I was sorry because I didn't want him to get in trouble. I said I was sorry because I write permissive erotic poetry. I said I was sorry because he was your best friend. I said I was sorry because I was sorry for being sorry because I'm a woman and I loved you. And I said I was sorry because I knew you would choose him. I'm still so fucking sorry that you thought it was my fault. I got two more for you. Remembering Uvalde. Who pulled the trigger was a walking infant premeditated NRA warning sign advising an update to the old school supply list with an extra box of tissue required for when your child doesn't make it home because someone didn't pull the right trigger on gun reform, on legislation that would prevent an 18-year-old kid from buying a gun but not a beer, because someone didn't pull the right trigger on legislation that would have prevented a walking infant premeditated NRA warning sign to purchase an AR-15 from firing 45 rounds per minute or 600 rounds per minute with bump stocks, where it takes 1/600th of a second to fire a single bullet from a gun. Because someone didn't pull the right trigger on buying ghost guns on a website or regulate the sale of guns at gun shows, because the illusion of muscle must mean strength, and mourning mothers love strength, right? Healthy, strong, who done it muscle flexing in the lobby of an entire generation of lost children who felt the full metal jacket shred their body while blood exploded from their skin until their heart furiously beat itself into failure because someone didn't pull the right trigger behind another kindergarten classroom going away party. All the guns and trained bodies of Kevlar in the world, and not one broke down that door that should have always been used to save them, be the last best bullet, at least to render aid. I wonder how long it took to mop up the blood. I wonder if the linoleum tiles still carry the stains of the innocent slain. I wonder if the cops who flew the cuckoo's nest still feel that stinging hand sanitizer as children died on the floor beside each other. I think about the audacity of the city council, of the chief of police in Uvalde, the wonderment as to where his sanity went. Because only a crazy, sick, stupid, psycho, inept, delusional egomaniac would believe he still deserved to wear a badge. Any badge, fuck, not even a janitor's badge. But I think about him, the epic, shitty excuse of a human being, mopping floors in shitty blue overalls that should be jail stripes, in an elementary school one day, after another shooting, swirling children's blood in rosy, sudsy water, wondering where his life went. Because it must have only been thinking about himself, while the children were probably thinking of their mothers, their fathers, their sisters and brothers, their friends, their pets. They must have begged to go home. They must have been so confused as to why no one was coming to help them. Because no one pulled the trigger. No one stopped the shooter's hands from handling that gun. No one stopped his entrance to the school. No one rushed in to stop him. All the vows in the world are all bullshit to protect and serve. The wool pulled over the eyes of the flock, and we still stay complacent, as this is our everyday life in America now. Still, we will never see mop companies meeting to lobby about triggers or guns or bullets. But maybe that's where we should start. That's that piece. If anyone is interested in coming on and being part of our American Graveyard podcast, please let us know. Let me know. It's an incredible podcast we do once a month on ending gun violence. I will end on something personal and positive because I realized I don't really have that much happy poetry. And I had to go perform at an art gallery and I could only bring happy poems. And so I wrote this one. I love this. It's titled Horsemanship. My people come from horse people. Horsemanship is a stream of consciousness. It is a natural river of energy that flows between two beings, an understanding, the concession of control and respect for power. Horsemanship is the eternal bond between human and animal, finding each other through the folds of time. It is undeniable, something that exists within you well before your first breath, the parting of ego and patience, of pleasure, where two processes of thought become one love language of purpose in a delicate balance of fear and joy, movement and quiet, until the world becomes only two and our language is spoken through hooves and heartbeats. Thank you all so very much. I'm glad to be here. I'll see you all next time.
I don't want to follow you, Prada. No, that was awesome. That was
Oh, give
awesome.
this lady some
Your
roses, please.
performance, your delivery was on point, lady.
Beautiful. Glad to hear you
Absolutely.
still, glad to hear you still kicking, Marissa.
It was so
Yes,
good to
I'm
hear
still
you.
here. I'm a little
Oh
squeakier
my
than I was,
God.
but I'm still here. I'm sorry, Angel.
No, you're good. It's just good to hear your voice.
Sounded good.
Okay. I said I have said it before, I will say it again. When this woman is on her game, she is absolutely unbeatable. Coming up next to the mic, I'm really, really glad that this lady was able to join us because she texted me this morning and said, I'm sick, might not be able to do this. And I told her, if you need to, jump out, okay. But she made it. She's here. Y'all, please give it up for Erica Floyd.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
can.
We'll try to get through this. I wasn't sure what I was going to read today. So without further ado, I'm just going to warm up with this one. This is old. The prompt was daydreaming about freedom, woke up in a casket. Daydreaming and I'm thinking of you. 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 Peace, everlasting, existing in careless abandon, no judgment unless the content of character is notwithstanding, mutual respect for one another, no axes to grind, living among one another where all are colorblind. I may be just a foolish dreamer, but I don't care. 'Cause I know my happiness is waiting somewhere where justice is equal for all, where punishment suits the crime, where jury selection is installed, where corrupt law enforcement does time, where warrants are required before entering one's home, where when you see a heinous crime, you use more than your phone. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. Wake up, everybody. The next piece, mulling over my memories. Melancholy moods mandated me motionless to meaningful memories, mercilessly mourning matriarchs in memoriam that have moved to their mansions many months ago, making me mindful of my mortality each morning, midday, and moon that materializes, never motionless, meticulous in its movement. Me, myself, mistakenly meandering minutes, aware that moments won't miraculously multiply, but will minus. Meanwhile, remembering, Marsh was my maiden moniker, mulling over the misguided missteps in matrimony, the misery of miscarriages that were too many. Meditative murmurings to my Messiah motivated me to maintain my mental, ultimately mesmerized by the miraculous metamorphosis of motherhood, made the misery more meaningful, grateful. The mission was manifested. 4 minions worth millions to me. Yet no more Mohicans moseying through my middle passage. Menstruation met its demise. And meanwhile, menopause is masterfully messing up my mojo. The next piece, let me see which one I want to do. This one is not titled. How dare I desire a place where order resides, where exasperated whispers of indignation override the we shall overcome someday. Having to bridle its rage like Norbert's response to Rasputia. Can you feel it? Or foreboding of dread filling the air? Bracing ourselves for the impact for a legion of locust like insects unleashed. No immunity to the sickness they'll release. Even Big Pharma is powerless to this. Inoculations to this pandemic has now reached a date of expiration, shut down by a nemesis whose only vice is confusion among the masses. Great is just a duplicitous twist of what was and what's to come, manifesting his manifesto for shock value, publicity, albeit negative, he welcomes. Can't tiptoe through those two lips. They fire at will from his mouth, since all he knows is firing. His ammo has yet to run out, considering dodging drafts is on his resume, so the irony isn't lost on me. From 45 to 47, Konami code implemented. Can't convince me to the contrary, since his progression is nothing short of astonishing. Colorful metaphors drip regurgitated sins of forefathers past, delivering its promise. Projects seemingly formidable, built with its brick and mortar. Location 2025 MAGA Boulevard, with its eau du toilette scented elevated propaganda commingling with incinerated spew in dire need of gentrification. Civility, a mere shadow of its previous potential. Powerless as I meander along, watching this train wreck of government wondering, what can I possibly do since we are far from united? The next piece is unrequited youth. Daily life is contemplated. What feats will I conquer in the present? What ways will I help heal those around me, including myself? How will I impart blessings unto those I encounter? How will I keep my sanity to not sink too deep into melancholy? But on the forefront of my thoughts is this shell that my soul inhabits. It betrays my inner fantasies routinely. And on this continuum, my mind battles in rebellion to this reality that my times around the sun cannot be denied. Yet in my truth, I am in denial. It is not ready to accept needs that no longer endure the tenacity it once did. A jawline growing more flaccid, my frame lacking the capacity of the agility and flexibility it once had. Breath that no longer has the longevity of equal rhythm in movement, metabolism that no longer metastasizes against caloric intake, epidermis that is lagging in stamina, demonstrating its weakness by showing lines of dialogue like a switchboard, awaiting connection to the appropriate extension, never ending, but static in reception since brain and body lack comprehension and communication. In essence, making one think it's able, yet finding flesh is no longer capable of performing in that manner. Mind over matter is a wrap. Perhaps I should be grateful for the conversation which continues to play out. Grateful that as of yet there is no disconnection. There are always new topics to address. Whether at the corners of my eyes, the dimples on my thighs, the furrows on my forehead and neck, short term memories and hindsight, I try to recollect the lifeline that refuses to stay behind because it has a mind of its own, mode of travel through varicose streams, although quiet. It's determined to be seen, it's low key in its arrival, so it doesn't have to scream. It appears stealthily in purple, blue, and green. Situations that were once palatable, I now have to digress from. Although they were once appetizing, I can no longer digest them as I mature. My filter is becoming less and less. So not only do I lack in time, I lack patience for any mess that may cause me distress. My goal is to acquire and maintain my peace, realizing of late it may be the one thing I have control over before I am deceased. The next piece, kind of interesting considering I didn't know that Angel Kim was going to read hers. I never liked horror movies, never understood the draw to them. To see someone frightened out of their mind, to see their anxiety at the prospect of painful death, to see people tortured, mutilated. I never understood why human beings find that entertaining. Why is showing kindness and love to each other boring? Or even to share laughter at something humorous? How come showing humanity isn't as easily embraced as seeing someone suffer needlessly? Turning a blind eye to injustice, to cruelty without provocation has become a favored pastime to the world, like hopscotch or baseball. Evil is beginning to outweigh good intentions. Why should I be surprised? We're born into a covetous competitive continuum, survival of the fittest from the very beginning. The Romans had their arenas filled to capacity of onlookers, awaiting men being eaten alive, jousting, yet another violent spectacle. Slavery speaks for itself. Childhood games like London Bridge is falling down, a seemingly innocent childhood rhyme whose historical reference was nothing joyful about it. Grim tales that were shared with children at bedtime. The big bad wolf who was after Little Red Riding Hood, an evil woman poisoning Snow White and Sleeping Beauty, a stepmother abusing Cinderella, animation where Wile E. Coyote consistently drops from a cliff or somehow an anvil falls on him. Daffy Duck blows himself up. Elmer Fudd gets shot in the face. Bluto bullying Popeye, dastardly pursuit of Penelope Pitstop. This beat goes on and on. Amazing how history continues to repeat itself in the worst possible way, and it doesn't stop there. Although I embrace my melanin, most of the world abhors it. So far, I've survived my share of tragedies. And in that, I have been blessed with a precious gift, the position of motherhood. And now my anxiety is turned up for my children. I fear on a regular basis if they will be targeted because of the skin they were born into. Traffic stops, since my son is now a licensed driver, by the way. This was a legitimate fear my son shared with me some time ago when I was giving him driving practice. It rendered me speechless and frozen in speech as to how to respond. More than a nightmare on Elm Street, this is a real fear in the waking moments of my being, brings new meaning to the phrase stay woke. Can't sleep on this. So I don't need to watch horror movies for entertainment when my existence as well as my lineage makes me cognizant to the potential nightmare in our reality. Life in our world has enough climatic scenes, so there's no urge for me to invite more terror into it via a movie screen. This next piece, surprisingly, was a prompt from Angel Kim, so I'll read it in her honor. Don't bleach my red flags. You underestimate my covering. Unbeknownst to you, I pray often. Despite my past experiences, my faith is still strong. And what I ask for with steady regularity is discernment as well as wisdom. I am of a certain age, an age that demonstrates that I've lived, that I've been through some things, that I have no desire to repeat undesirable experiences, that I have no desire to make the same errors in judgment, that I have no desire to ignore the red flags that could have saved me so much heartache, so much pain. Ignoring the flags is what I believe is the culprit of most of society's woes. When you know better, you do better. We are in fierce denial of intuitive warnings, our gut feelings. We're too concerned about what feels good in the present and not the consequences of our self indulgences, when we should be more proactive in self preservation. Personally, I need to learn from my past and the role I played in those unfavorable incidents in order to avoid a repeat. So don't bleach my red flags. I need them waving big and loud like a James Brown black and proud lyric to protect me from myself. How am I on
Y'all
time,
open
Miss
up your
Dyson?
mics.
Thank you.
Open up your mics. Throw this woman some roses. Honey, I'm so glad you were able to join us. That was great.
Jesus. Thank you.
Oh, oh, you feel okay?
It's a struggle, but I'm here. I don't like to let people down if I'm supposed to do something. So I appreciate the space and I will move out the way.
Absolute brilliance.
Come on, Brooke. You did a phenomenal job.
Let's go.
Each piece, oh my gosh, each piece was layered. Amazing job.
Thank you, sweetie.
I feel like I have to say it. I can't stand you.
Okay.
Can't stand you either.
Okay. Coming up next, this is the first time that this particular member has been able to join us for anything. I get to brag on her a little bit because this was my very, very first apprentice. And she has, it's not even about she blossomed, she blew up. And then she started setting things on fire, quite honestly, way before I even started this group. She is also self-proclaimed the head of the insolent wenches in my life. Would you all please give it up for Zadika Poindexter?
Hey, if you make Stacy's life hard, I love you.
Look, it's a chore that I adore. Thank you all for letting me join in. I'm gonna start with a couple persona pieces. This first one is called Harriet Tubman's Advice on Leaving for Tyra. Listen to me. Run. Something will always be there to shackle you in place. There may be good reasons to stay put, child. That does not mean you have to, or that you should. Run with intention. Grab your dignity and respect and rest. Run. Gather your grace and journal and favorite song. Run. Under the cover of night or blazing sunlight. Run. Now you're going to need to leave some things behind. It's going to hurt. I can't lie. Behind you, people and memories might hunt your heels, hungry for your presence. Baby, you run on anyway. Carry nothing other than the fact you done seen some shit. I know. Me too. Still, because, despite, run. And if the sound of my voice distracts you, leave me behind too. I was never the reason. I am just a guide, and I have never saved a soul who did not have their own dreams pushing their minds and bodies forward. Baby, run. To people who cherish your freedom as much as their own. To a place possibilities spread out across a new, infinite landscape, and you are the only one who decides what's next. And if when you finally stop, you step just a taint lighter, breathe a pinch easier, sleep deep and dreamless, that's freedom. It's out there, I promise you. Gather together, breathe deep, and run. The second piece is called The Root Worker's Disclaimer. It's after a gorgeous visual art installation called The Root Worker's Table that was created by Renee Stout. Oh, but I see him coming, looking for trinkets and potions to fuel, maybe confirm affection, when the answer's actually closer to home. You call your intended to you. Simmer your best stew spiced with rosemary. Add ginger and vanilla as you steep your sweet tea. Play an album full of good memories that put your neck and your hips in the mind to move. Where your good draws. and drop a little bit of this here elixir someplace intimate for them to find later. And there is always later if you do it right. And by right, I mean sopping up the marrow of the moment between your pinched fingers, knowing tonight and tomorrow are very different things. And no magic can bind someone to you who did not come with the intention to stay. All right. This piece is called, I write a lot about food, so that's what we're gonna ride into for the next little bit. This is called My Daughter Keeps Me Company While I Make Dinner. We start with the Holy Trinity: garlic, bell peppers, and onions. The first two are easy, but the third is gonna be a problem. I'm too sensitive, I've been told. It doesn't matter how I try to protect myself, it's everywhere. My hands, the air, I end up sobbing and have to walk away. Today, we're watching news instead of cartoons, and I know something awful is coming. Because the world won't stop. Sandra Blanding, Philando Castillan, Corin Gainsing, Eric Garnering, Breonna Tayloring, George Floyding, Sonia Masseying, serving and protecting me into submission. I have to stop blocking the blows and accept. I gotta figure out how to explain this to my children. So I stand here chopping onions and listening to my daughter's toddler speak, concentrating on the rise and fall of the knife so I'm not leaking both tears and blood, as I hear why, again, murder ain't exactly murder, or how being breathing and brown makes a person dangerous, or how people not so different from me keep dying, but that's not the point, right? Now I'm mincing words that sound like age-appropriate versions of the truth. Wonder if my girl has seen this ritual on my face enough times to know what's happening before she fully knows the language. I break my rhythm. I can't hold the knife steady. I can't breathe even. I can't stop the fear and the knowledge that this will happen again and again and again. And this goddamn vegetable is burning its way into me while the world is trying to categorize me from the inside out. I can't stop myself from crying harder. I cry as I put the onions in the bowl. I cry as I clean the chopping block. I cry as I try to clean my eyes with the back of my forearm. I have to walk away. Hold the sink with one hand and splash cold, cool water with the other, because this irritation is soaked into my skin and some things can't come clean so easy. So I accept the burn. Pray for small and specific things to help this moment pass. My daughter asks, "Okay, mommy?" And I say, "No, baby, it's onions." This is called Three Patients. It's a family history. You'll hear more. Patient number 1, Black female, 68. Loves red packaged Pall Malls, Geraldo Rivera, and that thick cut bologna with the red rings around the edges. Complaints: diarrhea, pain, and weight loss. Self-diagnosis: bubble guts. Treatment: warm flat Dr. Pepper and Pepto-Bismol. Patient number 2, Black female, 53. Ex-military and menthol aficionado, wicked chess game and graveyard shift superstar. Complaints: stomach and chest pain and nausea. Diagnosis: indigestion. Treatment: every antacid on the market. Patient number 3, Black female, 40. 90 days postpartum, never shuts up, calls herself a poet. Complaints: chest pain and shortness of breath. Diagnosis, in layman's terms: bitch, you fat and you just dropped a baby. Treatment: lose some weight and take a diuretic. In each case, we should be fine, right? We saw doctors, we accepted treatments, we did not get better. Patient number 1, my grandmother, riddled with cancer so far gone they could not operate. She died in a still mortgaged house less than 6 months later from the illness that took out half her siblings. Patient number 2, my mother, who fought and finally had a test that found a tumor so large she moved to the top of the surgery list. Half her stomach was removed and she still sports a crescent-shaped scar as a reminder. Patient number 3, me. I got tired of shallow breathing my way through every day and walked myself into the ER. They found a 3-pound tumor pushing my heart and lungs out of the way. I guess I really did need to lose a little weight. To diagnose is to identify the nature of an illness, to find what's wrong, the real problem, not the first option after 13 minutes of patient interaction and figuring out which pill the hospital or drug companies prefer. It is a statistically likely scenario that what's wrong is less likely to be found because before I say a word about my actual symptoms, I have a list of assumptions working against me because I've been diagnosed as Black, as a woman, as strong, as having drug-seeking behavior, as bad lifestyle choices, as underinsured, as hysterical, as treatment plan not compliant, as intimidating, as taking too damn long and we got to keep it moving to the next patient. Doctors cannot diagnose what they cannot see. Correction. Doctors cannot diagnose who they will not see. They have to see us. They have to listen to us. They have to know that of all the things they may think in an appointment, here's what's important. My body and experience deserve to be regarded with full attention. I demand to live. I will accept nothing less than your best care. And in my patient notes, you should include the following. My grandmother didn't believe she would be listened to, and it cost her her life. My mother wasn't listened to and spent months in pain. I had to yell at emergency room techs for something I had been calmly trying to tell my doctor about for months. We are not statistics or feature stories or isolated incidents. We exist. We will continue to exist and we will not be ignored. I'm going to do a short one that's a note for my daughter to wrap up my time. Thank y'all for letting me be a part of this. You know what? I'm going to change my mind because I feel like talking my shit today. We're going to do a poem called Kitchen Bleach. Starts with an epitaph from the FDA food safety website. Do not wash, by the way, this is a Villanelle. Do not wash meat, poultry, fish, or eggs. If water splashes a sink in the process of washing, it can spread bacteria. I will gladly take your disdain over my people thinking I'm nasty. We know what germs are, but we also know what bleach is for. It's not that I don't know your reasons, they just don't matter to me. Feel free to explain the science of unwashed chicken to my 80-year-old aunties. These women lived through the Depression, Jim Crow, and 5 wars. I will gladly take your disdain over my people thinking I'm nasty. For years, these women cleaned up after friends, strangers, and family, washed off things far more insidious than errant chicken juice. This I know for sure. It's not that I don't hear your reasons, they just don't matter to me. 3 generations of maids taught me how to keep house properly, so people smell only bleach, pine sol, or good food when they walk through the door. I will gladly take your disdain over my people thinking I'm nasty, or ashy, or musty. We have norms, and I will not have my elders coming for me. We have been this way for decades, and we're going to be this way for a few more. It's not that I don't understand your reasons. They just don't matter to me. You should know I do take some of your warnings seriously. This is why I've never made dishwater without a splash of bleach before. I'll gladly take your disdain over my people thinking I'm nasty. It's not that I don't know your reasons. They just don't matter to me. Thank
Look at
you.
him. Y'all open up your mics, give it up, throw all the roses you have at your disposal. Oh, that was everything it will ever need to be.
Loved it.
Come
Loved
through.
it.
That was dope.
I haven't heard you in a minute. I enjoyed this.
That
Queen,
was
Oh my word.
phenomenal.
yes.
That's my first time hearing you, and it made me want more.
Oh, I'll be dragging her into more and more of what we do as much as she will allow me. But yeah, that was whew, as a debut, honey, flawless. Okay, moving right along. As many of you as can be on screen right now, please do that because we are welcoming a brand new Tesoro. I had the privilege of hearing and finding this lady while I was in Silver City. I remember just sitting there and going, that's why I'm here. She's one of us. I want y'all to please give it up one time for Krista Jocelyn Gay.
Woo-hoo.
Hi, y'all. Thanks for having me here. I really appreciate it. It's wonderful to hear every single one of your voices. And with that, I am going to start with um, this one. It's untitled. Work it dead. Work it until it's old and broken, until it's rusty and no longer works for shit. Drive that thing into the ground. Twist it. Shake it. Let it spill, overflow, overgrow, over the threshold, then chop it down. Work it to its frame and dismantle it, rebuild it, shape a new thing using it, create with it, give it purpose, make it give a shit, make it make you give a shit, own it, love it, make it you, and stew with it, turn it inside out, call its mother, make it remember the time you walked barefoot to your boyfriend's house, half drunk, all frisky. Bring it up during dinner. When the mood becomes stale, make it weird, and then laugh. Live in the freedom of its brashness, toss out all inhibitions, then rebuild the manner of its respectability. Be spry, be bold, get comfortable in its sprawl, like a couch losing its spring, lean into it. Right in the groove of your favorite spot, find a favorite spot. One to write poetry in. Wear it down. Learn it, know it, use it. Pour yourself into it like water, let its novelty drown, and then bring it back. This one's also untitled. Let that dog go. The leash is cutting the life from your fingers. They are purple and sore. Threatening to split, popping the skin that binds the bone, numbing your ability to feel things out like hands are supposed to. Let that dog go. Spit flies from its lips as it snarls and snaps, hungry for flesh, hungry for control. It has no ears to hear you now. Your voice echoes hollow against the noise of its throat, deep and raw like an earthquake. You have no say here. Let that dog go. Least it turn to bite you too, sink its teeth in your vulnerability, your false authority. You can't put a collar on chaos. It's like trying to catch time. You mean nothing to it. Let that dog go. This one's called Seated Bones. The land made space for more. The people pulled up chairs and drums, steeped in water, supple with minnows and toads, with black mud for toe jam, quick with the rutting of deer, crisp with the fall of leaves, feet broke earth with dance, the humming of thighs on grass and hands on bark. The land made space for more. The creaking of wood ships carrying a hollowness, a burst of flame and powder, clashing of ideology, carving of purpose and flesh, a hunger of domination, promises of progress, bearing bones. Calcification of heartstrings, the land held more right angles, more tracks, more people. It had no choice. The trees grew crooked crowns, symbols of centralized power, a hero's journey, pillars of concentration, sacrificing song for submission, offering up sovereignty for more. So the land held more. While the water grew empty and the leaves grew quiet, a crowding of hips and ribs, scraped clean of song, burned clean of mushrooms, what more can be crammed in, dusty and rough, holding everything but heart and guts? What more can be held here in a place of seated bones? This one I did for the challenge of National Poetry Month, the 30-30 challenge. I didn't make it, but this is one of the ones that came out of it. To voicemail, I'm too busy. In the morning, peach trees blossom, brushed icy clouds, catching in blue-tinted wind sails, tempestuous. By noon, birds scrambled for rover beetles in freshly watered strawberries, drank in tree gills, surprised like me by the snow. But they were dressed better. The day passed in crisp clarity. Some of it stuck. The furnace of the equinox has been lit. I've wished the trees luck. I've talked to the butterflies. Tonight, the last bit of winter called out, "Ow!" But I'm too busy writing this poem to respond. This one is catharsis. Salt, salty, brine, grit, grainy, coarse, rough, hypotonic, hypertonic, needing balance, cleansing, deadly, too much, too little, pulling poison from wounds, starving cells of water, shriveling up phospholipid bilayers, making tears of poisonous pondering, an excess of water. Letting go of feelings that fester, drawing out misery and grief, it is appropriate that tears are salt water. Driving overflowing neurotransmitters back to the sea, the origin of all salts, the primordial mess of rocky emotion, washing clean gray matter. The waves will figure it out. Or not. Calling up storms in diaphragms and vocal cords, give them back their water and their salts. And I'm going to end on gratitude. Seeds of surrender and the hands that plant them. To the toes that hurt in the morning, curled and stiff, creaking on tile floors, I say thank you. To the curtains unable to hold back sunlight, I say thank you. To the dog that shakes the bedroom awake, grunting and sneezing, stretching out sleep, thank you. To the husband who brews coffee and prepares the breakfast and feeds the cats, I say thank you. The same man who called his mothers and brother, while I lay in the back of his truck, broken and tired, who wept oceans across airwaves while his children sprung from the storms, thank you. To the mothers and brothers who said yes, giving no hesitation to the sister-in-law who filled out the registration papers and cooked a dinner after dinner, thank you. For the mothers who met us at the gate and held my rainbow tie-dyed walker as I unfolded out of the car, sweaty and out of pain meds, for the magicians who did their best to heal me with touch, to the mother whose eyes filled with tears as my legs filled with fluid, the mother who kept forgetting her keys but never my dignity or hers, who understands loss of self, the mother who hid the pills when the pain persisted, when I wilted like so many flowers in August, ready to tuck in for the longest winter sleep. Thank you. Thank you for keeping the seeds I could not see, For the friends who I no longer speak to, thank you. To the friends and sisters who changed diapers and washed dishes and folded my baby's clothes and packed our suitcase, to the friends who showed up to send me away, to the ones who could and did look at me, small and hollow, crumpled and pleading, to the women who tended my children when I could not, who brought us home, to the waiting husband, to the friends I made along the way, thank you. To my children who continued to be children, who fought with the world and fell apart in all the ways that adults wanted to, the children who wrecked like tornadoes and babbled themselves into sanity, who danced and cried and grew, my children who learned to belong to themselves. Thank you. Thanks to the body that broke and will continue to break, only to be caught in the most gentle of ways by the hands that only want to hold, regardless of how big the pain, how full the challenge. My lessons of gratitude break through like morning sun through curtains. They are too big for threads, too heavy for one set of hands to fill a room like the smell of coffee and the shaking of an old dog. They stick like joint pain, and yes, they seep through like surrender, sprout like seeds planted in spring, and heal.
Okay, fire singers, you know what to do. Open up your mics and show Krista Jocelyn Gay some love, our newest Tesoro member.
Let's go, Krista! New Mexico in the house. Let's go. Yes.
Very beautiful.
Beautiful job, honey.
Thank you, Krista, and welcome. Loved the whole flow. Just enjoyed it. Thank you. Okay. Y'all could have been anywhere on a Sunday, but you chose to be here with us, and I thank you for that. So I haven't really spit on any platform in a minute, so this always refreshes me and revives me. So thank you. Thank you for this setting. Thank you for this space. And you know, we can't close out an invitational without introducing, I call her Madam Tesoro. I met her either 2018 or 2019. She came to Colorado Springs to feature in a Poetry 719 event. And I said, oh, this is somebody I need to know. And she is responsible for creating this beautifully crafted organization known as Tesoro, which means treasure. And every sister on the screen right now is a treasure. So it is my honor and my privilege to introduce you all to the one and only OG, Ms. Stacy Dyson.
Oh my goodness. Y'all have rendered me almost speechless, almost. I had a completely different idea of what I was going to do today, but after what y'all just did, I had to read this piece because this is the piece that holds my career together. This is the piece who explains to people who need to know, want to know, have to know why I do what I do.
Before you
I've done
read
it a
that
million.
piece, can I say something?
Sure.
That was extremely too quiet for her to come on to. This is the matriarch of Tesoro. I need y'all to unmute your mics and I need y'all to give it up for Stacy Dyson. Please. Come on.
Crowd goes wild. Let's go. Yes.
Thank you.
Pew, 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 pew.
Okay. Thank you for that. It energizes me. We're going to close out with this. For y'all who are guests, well, for all of y'all, actually, please come back next week when we finish burning up the month of May. And then, of course, we'll always be doing other things to take over the free world poetically. For this one, you can open up your mics. Those of you who've heard it before know that I'm about to testify. We're going to church, so feel free to make noise. The usual question is why? What made you be a poet? I've heard about how death turns some people, jail time, bad fortune. I can't claim any of that. I am a poet because even at 5, you know when the Lord is talking to you. I am a poet because God laid his hand on me and said, here am I, now speak. So if you hear something in this poem you know and believe, say amen.
Amen.
If you hear something you don't know but want to believe, sing well. And if you don't know and can't believe, then tip your waiter and prove you tried to keep Trump the hell out of office so you will have done something useful with your sorry self. I am a poet because love laid its light on my parents' marriage. They held each other's hearts like jewels, polished with 5 girls, money problems, fights, and good times, so that when my mother said no to the chemo, no to the surgery, no to the cancer, she died smiling in my father's arms. I am a poet because every 7 seconds a woman is raped, because every 2 minutes a child is molested, because every half hour somebody dies alone. And every hour on the hour, government commits genocide while big business pats itself on the back. Because I applaud innovation, tradition is the fire at which my soul warms itself. I am a poet because my nephew's smiles hang the stars. Because I have friends and sisters whose personal job it is in life to mess with me all the time. Because my baby misses me so bad when I'm away and loves me back home so sweet. I am a poet because using the language properly is like good sex. If you can't stroke it, kiss it, taste it, and then lay it down till it screams with every intended passion, keep your damn mouth shut. I am a poet because of Aretha Franklin, Langston Hughes, Mahalia Maya, and Dylan Thomas, Matty Evans, Sonia Sanchez, Gato Barbieri, Nora Jones, Duke Ellington, Nikki Giovanni, and Shaka Khan. Because of Alexander Dumas, Père et Fils, Raymond Chandler, Tina Marie, and Johann Sebastian Bach. I am a poet because when Smokey sang, "Let me be the clock for the time of your life," every woman in the world said, "Tick tock, baby." I am a poet because when I was wrong, my parents did not medicate, therapy, or offer alternative behaviors. They smacked my hand, whipped my butt, and made me hold my head up to say, I'm sorry. I am a poet because I am a Black woman in a white world whose prayers to the ancestors bring down fire from the sky that I kiss into the diamonds I want to hang in your ears. Because the words retard, fag, slut, nigga bitch are still accepted and recognized parts of conversation. I am a poet because Sacagawea got jacked up on the gold dollar. Cleopatra was a sister, and because rejecting European standards of beauty, I roll out every morning so damn fine that I am illegal in all 50 states and most of the US territories. I am a poet because I know God, because he laid his hand on me and said, here am I. Now speak.
Yes.
Let's go!
Yes. Let's
Yes,
go.
I always love hearing
yes.
that piece, always.
This has been, as all of the anniversary shows are, as every time I work with y'all is one of the most incredible afternoons of my life. Thank you for this. Thank you, Tesoro. For those of you who are going to want to come back next week, keep an eye on the website, www.firesingers.com. There's going to be a whole different lineup, but the flow is going to be just as fierce. I long ago gave up trying to figure out timelines, so I don't know where anybody is in evening or morning, wherever it is you are in the world, wherever it is you are in your day. Y'all, we love you. Take it light. We will see you round the way. Bye-bye.
Love you guys. Be
Love you
blessed.
too. Blessings.
Y'all.